Hey guys, this is Jim Fix, aka Fillmore. For those of you who love QF, a podcast about Howard Stern, and would like to donate some money, there's two ways now you can do it. You can join our Patreon page, which is listed in the graphic you're seeing now. But also, if you'd rather not do a subscription-based thing, even if it's $1 a month or what have you, you can use our PayPal account, which would be jimfix76@gmail.com. And you can donate whatever you like, however you like, one of those two ways, and we'd more than appreciate it if you'd like to do so. Thank you very much.
First of all, the nerve of your fucking ass to call me and tell me your fucking problem.
It's not my...
Fuck off. Get lost. Get off and take your stupid subscription and cancel. Who cares, Dina?
Fuck you.
Fuck you, cunt.
Fuck you.
Do your audience a favor.
Get lost. Don't do my audience. I'll do my audience whatever I want. I'll piss on this audience if I...
Douche.
I do have issues about people leaving me. I want to control everyone in my atmosphere. I am a puppet master, and I want everyone to be a puppet.
He was saying goodbye to me, and he leaned in for a kiss, and I smiled so big that he literally kissed my teeth. I cheated on every one of my boyfriends except for Howard.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
The day I met Howard, my cheating days ended.
You were a cheater?
I was a cheater.
I hate Beth. I think she's only after Howard's money, and she's a real horse face.
Can you bang any of those stripper broads on the show?
Teresa Lynn said you banged her.
Teresa who?
She was on here. She was in your movie, Private Parts.
Oh, Amy. No.
Teresa, the one with the
no.
little ass.
She never said that.
She told
That's
me.
That's a lie. To admit you're lying.
That's Tony. She told
Tony. Did I ever bang Teresa Lynn?
In New Jersey, welcome to the wrap-up show.
Does any of you gentlemen believe that Beth actually loves Howard?
Yeah, let's come right to the nitty-gritty. Artie and I spent last weekend with him, and if she's in love, then she should get a fucking Oscar. If she's not in love, if she's in love, she should get an Oscar. Artie and Slim.
See?
Uh-oh, here comes Beth. Howard is Beth. Howard is Beth. I'm knitting baby booties.
What are you doing, Beth?
I'm knitting baby booties. I could just see our blonde curly-haired son. At least you don't have to pretend your dog is actually a child.
Beth once even said to me, it was funny too, because Beth once said to me, you know, I wouldn't mind being engaged forever. Like this was, years ago. She goes, I just think the ring is so great. I would love to,
It's romantic.
And it's romantic, and it's kind of cool. But the second I popped the question, she was like, well, let's get on the phone and tell everyone we're getting married. I went, whoa.
Yeah.
No, we're not getting married. We're engaged.
There's no such thing.
You know what it is? I'm so self-important, I just don't even remember meeting anyone.
She was up here one day and I introduced you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What the people
So I'm cured. I'm not going to be cured of any. I am me. I am just going to a psychiatrist so that I can feel better about certain issues in my life. That's all.
Hey guys, this is Fillmore. You're listening to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern, and this is the second part of the Billy West versus John Kay video walkthrough. Part 3, which is the finale, will be on this Thursday. We separated it to make it a little more palatable for all of you, so we hope you guys appreciate it. Thanks so much. So we're going to go in with part 2, guys. We hope you enjoyed this as much as you enjoyed part 1, and we've got a lot of clips to get through, so let's finish it up.
Yeah, you have an assistant here on your behalf. Billy now has his manager on his behalf.
I don't know. Billy's shooting me looks.
I'm the nut, though.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
All right, now Billy's wife is about to get in on this, John.
Oh, man.
John Kay, the creator of Ren and Stimpy. Billy, one of the voices of Ren and Stimpy.
Jesus, he keeps he keeps fucking that up.
Such an idiot. Do you love how that one album cover in the background is almost like his... What is that? Is that his hair? What is that? Is that a calendar of him?
No, I think that's the Private Parts, something Private Parts. I can't quite read it. Now a Paramount Pictures production or something like that. I can't quite tell. But I think it's there, yeah. I think it's all Private Parts promotional bullshit.
It should be just like, just like a TV ad for like hair clippings. Like, we can vacuum this up very fast for you. Yeah. It's just insane. But the Gary puppet, and every time I see the clip go by and the Gary puppet's in there, I'm like, oh my God, that Gary puppet is so funny looking, and it's so incredibly sad how awful the puppets look now. When you look at that Gary puppet, just looking at it is hysterical.
They redid it, didn't they? They made a new Gary puppet that's so inoffensive. It's so stupid.
It's like, looking at a child's toy at Fisher Price.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Fisher Price. So, and a lot of that stuff. The other thing was that was what made the show kind of the visual aspect. It had to be kind of kooky looking, the set. Now, when you see the thing, it's this nondescript. Well, he's at home, but when he was at Sirius most recently in 2020, before COVID hit, it was sterile, blue. It was like institutional, I guess. And what would you pay for the video at that point? There's nothing to see.
Well, yeah, that's the point of too. Like even cartoons, so like Ren and Stimpy with this thread, the Gary puppet, Ren and Stimpy, this kind of off the wall, ironic weirdness was what made it funny.
Yeah,
I mean that was the greatness of some of the '90s, humor, I guess, and just originality, and that does not exist anymore. I mean, just throwing in these lumps of shit puppets. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
But also the quick cuts that the editing team would do to go to the back office or the green room or after and before the interview and add these things. There was much busier and a little more happening than what they've done now, which is almost like a comatose patient doing the editing. And anyway, we'll continue, guys. But as you can see, it's just more frantic back then. And I attribute that to Howard's energy at the time anyway. As negative as it might have been, at least it was more.
Even the sail mask.
Yeah.
Put on the sail mask.
Yeah. It's such a big contrast to what it later became.
Eventually, he became both Ren and Stimpy.
Right. And what is your assistant's name?
Leslie.
Leslie is here, who obviously has ill feeling toward Billy.
And she wasn't even there when this happened.
Right.
That's what I love the best.
They're right.
Where were you when I was practicing all this stuff?
I'd be making more money if you were.
Oh, you would? You'd be making more money? You'd be making more money. What? Selling frocks on the corner of 5th, bitch? Fuck off.
I love when you get on it, fashion, but it's dated as fuck. But Jesus, she's not doing herself any favors.
I'd be making more money. Where are you making more money? Who would you be social climbing on? Like, really, she's ready to climb onto another job. She's waiting to be hired right now at Howard. That's what she's hoping for. Did you hear her in the beginning? She was saying, "What are you gonna get me? Are you gonna give me a job?"
Yes, she'll say, "Am I gonna get fired?" So who the fuck? Like, what was the point of bringing her in? Just an extra voice?
I don't know. She should just wear a neon sign that says "Job Climbing Bimbo."
Or is she like a procurer of underage women? Because she did mention, I have to go through that again. She mentioned, I believe, the first name of one of the girls who later on initiated she came out with the accusations against.
Slice wannabe.
I guess so, yeah, for underage chicks.
I think you have a bright future in making money. I do.
Yeah.
I think it'll
can manage
all
Billy.
come your way.
Now Billy's watch about to enter the fray.
Right.
Uh-oh.
So, John, you got this new series coming up on Fox. When does that start?
Actually, it's just in development, so it hasn't actually been sold.
Oh, I see.
We have a comic book coming out, though, with the same characters.
So it's in development. This makes it more even creepier because he doesn't really have anything to promote. This makes me think Howard sought him out. I originally thought it was just one of those things where, you know how they would have guests and we know how they basically would look and he would okay, yes, this one, not this one. I don't know anything about this one. He had the choice of who he wanted to come in. Back then, of course, there were loads of people that wanted to be on the show. This would have been one of many. I don't believe. Now I'm thinking Howard actively sought this fucking guy out.
Yeah, in development. So that
right.
I mean, since when are you promoting? When have we ever heard of anyone coming on the show promoting something in development? That's
Never.
not a joke.
No,
like
you're
a
promoting
stripper or a whack packer.
That's right. You promote a movie that's out, and maybe that you're working on, absolutely, but you never talk about what's in development because number one, the deal could go south. Hello, fart man. And second of all, it's like you look like an idiot if it does go south, all of a sudden, oh, you said that was in development. What happened to that? You sound like a failure. You never in Hollywood want to make it look like something fucked up and you were involved in it. That fucking Gotti movie with Travolta was attached with so much bullshit baggage. When it finally did come out, it had no choice but to fucking tank.
Oh, and I know people probably, you can think what you want of Kumia, but the rundown of that movie with Dave Landau, funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen. It was so good. They reviewed it.
Oh, you do? Okay, so and that's called, George?
It's called Comic Book.
Oh, Comic Book. What's the matter? Where's his wife?
She's not going to come on the air. She just said that this whole thing is very unfair to Billy. And I said, well, we don't know the whole story.
She could come on and tell.
What's unfair to Billy?
I guess this whole thing, but I don't know exactly what. And she also said that, she doesn't want to be painted as a moron. That's what she feels like you guys are painted.
She's not a moron.
Oh, people.
That's funny. She wanted to come on, and now she doesn't. What's the motivation there? What she just realized she's going to be attacked by Howard.
You can think of this as two ways. You could be super angry, like I was, and gave my rant to Howard in the previous episode. If I was Billy's wife, not taking a breath and doing that. But if I did that, then I wouldn't be thinking of the second part of this, where if you thought about what was going to happen, you have Robin, Gary, Jackie, Fred, listeners, callers ready to go. You have everybody but Billy against you. You have to think about how many against one, about how this is going to paint you. And this is not about you. It's about your husband's career and your finances are attached to it. And he's also attached to a different company.
That's true.
So I really think, as much as I enjoyed pretend being Billy's wife, and I'm so glad I got to do that, it was probably the smarter thing not to bitch him out, because it would have, I think, created more of a situation for Billy in the long run.
Yeah. So she's thinking self-preservation. Like, if I do this, what's it going to make me look like in Hollywood? No one's going to want to deal with me. Look at Helen Kushnick and Jay Leno and how she soured every fucking relationship because of how she was perceived and how she acted. Let's be honest.
And I also think, like, she just thought, I have not a shot in hell if it's just me on a telephone and they have all 5 against 1 resources, buttons,
they can
audio,
pot her down,
microphones, anything they want. They could just shut my fucking mic off, phone off, mute me.
Do you think it would have been different if she'd been in studio?
Yes.
Yeah. As a level playing field, which is not a level playing field, but it's better than, because there's always such a disadvantage to being on the phone, even now, as opposed to being in studio, because they could always just lower the mic. Like that one the last Dice appearance before Sirius. So he was promoting something, I can't remember, and then all Howard did was shout him down. That's all he could do, because Dice was destroying him. I heard the audio many times. And you couldn't put him up against a seasoned road comic. He just couldn't. He's just not fast enough. With Jackie writing him notes, without, doesn't matter. So
I would have liked to hear her for, our own personal vindication.
Fuck yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's not a moron.
Oh, people are getting too sensitive around here.
But I said,
oh my God, coming from Robin?
Coming from Robin, I was thinking the same thing.
What time did you leave the airport? I'm leaving.
Yeah, I love that one.
Oh, the bigger story.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it.
But she said that Billy's being, wronged.
You are, Billy?
Well, certainly Billy feels that way.
How come Billy doesn't feel that way?
You don't feel that way?
No.
No.
You don't feel uncomfortable being around John, right?
No.
I do.
Yeah, Billy's the only one who's not uncomfortable.
Explain to your wife it's a comedy show.
This is what I find fascinating. Like, Billy underneath, like, he's probably seething, but he's also smart enough, because he's Howard's age. He's a couple years older, I believe. He knows enough to know how the show works that, if you just stifle any kind of emotion, Howard's starved. Like, he can't do anything about it. And the segment's going to bomb. And it's just going to end faster.
There's people that you're friends with that, like, no matter what, they're going to just do what they're going to do no matter what. Sure. And you just have to get through this just to get to the rest of it. So you just have to muscle through this. You just gotta muscle through this. Like, I swear to Christ, there's people where I'm like, we're gonna have to leave at this time, and you show up at their place, and you know they're fucking still getting ready, and you're like, I knew this was gonna happen. So you're just gonna have to smile and grin and bear it, and just be like, listen, we're just gonna have to, okay, and we're gonna get in the car, and it's just gonna be fine, and they're gonna still be like, really, it's just. And then they're going to be nasty, and then they're just still going to be a fucking, whatever. It's just, there's certain people that don't care, and they throw their weight around no matter what. So you just grin and bear it because you know they're going to be that way.
You just described every time I had to fucking attend a wedding that I didn't want to go to.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm going like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I know it's your fucking friend's fucking sister, but I don't care. Anyway, let's continue. Poor Billy. God, I feel bad for him.
Oh, she shouldn't get too involved. Tell her not to get that involved.
I have.
Oh, I wish she'd call back.
Yeah, get her on.
Yeah, come on. Get her on the air, Gary.
Come on, V.
Come on, V. It's time for you to come on the air. Look at John. John, you're a weird guy. I could see why Billy be frightened of you.
It's very intense. I mean,
I don't know. You're a little
high
scary.
maintenance. Billy and I should be pals.
Oh, so you see, I thought you guys were going to come in here and be pals.
Or does he want to poison Billy's food when he's not looking?
No, you like Billy.
Billy's all right.
Yeah.
I thought you're going to be pals. Oh, I thought you're going to be, pissed off at Billy. Oh, he's a backstabber. Oh, I would have done the same. Howard will say anything, anytime to get whatever fucking reaction he wants, and it's within even the same breath. He can contradict himself so badly, and it's never worse than. I don't think there's too many more appearances where it's more obvious than this one.
It's like the poison water in Flint. It's just awful. He and Robin dropping more acid on it, where it's like, oh, you're not gonna. I want to look at her and just be like, you couldn't even handle questioning about your Guatemala fact-finding mission. Which, by the way, I would love for somebody this week to be, Robin. Our vice president went to Guatemala this week. Why weren't, you should be helping. Why aren't you participating in that? You know so much about that. Why didn't you solve the root causes of migration, you asshole?
She knows everything.
With your fact-finding missions, my juicy sandals.
Yeah, that was funny as shit.
But he's not looking at Billy when he says that. He's looking at the assistant.
Yeah.
It's because we're on the Howard show here. He's taking a stick and prodding us.
Yeah, I like this.
Which that's okay.
Dry you right out.
So anyway, you're coming out with a book called You're obviously here to plug this George thing, and it's called Comic Book. And it'll be out in our stores. And then you're also going to prepare for a Fox pilot.
Yes, we are.
An animated pilot. I see.
Plus, I have to plug Larry Beto.
Who's that?
He makes our those paint kits that we sent you. We make.
Okay, this is by the way,
God.
It couldn't be less obvious that he's plugging anything. This whole fucking appearance. And I got to say, guys, thanks so much for the positive words about the first half. By the way, we got an enormously massive groundswell of applause and cheers for that. And we didn't think we'd get the reaction we did. I knew we did a good job on it, but either way, back patting. Sorry, I'll stop with that. This. Can you think of, this is what I wanted to ask you, Sam. Can you think of another video, like Howard TV appearance or an interview or something which as cringeworthy in a similar way?
I'm sorry. I'm too busy patting myself on the back. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to die. I'm dying right now. I don't like any of this. I get so, he's barely promoting anything. He's selling trinkets.
Yeah,
he just talked about a paint kit. I don't even know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you don't want to be friends? Paint kit?
Yeah. George Liquor. And then he proceeded in part one to do one of the worst voices I've ever heard a so-called animator do.
Meat.
Dolly's.
Oh, really?
Paint by numbers.
Billy says you don't have to plug him. It's like, why give him credit?
You're on this show. You have to talk about John.
Why aren't you buddies?
You got to worry about your.
Sorry.
He just goes, yeah, I don't see why you guys can't be friends. And then he just does this.
Yeah.
Career. Not this other guy's career.
He ain't paying your bills.
All right. Wow. This was great. I enjoyed having this.
Let's do it every day.
No wonder Billy thought it was so wild that I mentioned him on the Tonight Show. He sent me flowers.
I'm not sure which appearance she's talking about. There's two that I can think of. One with Linda Ronstadt and another one. There might have been two. Well, maybe one was for private parts of the movie, and then the one was Linda Ronstadt where she was promoting her book in '95, I believe. And either way, one of those was the infamous, she'd like to be his co-host. She said it was on YouTube, but she told Jay Leno she'd like to work with him. And that must have fucking set Howard right off.
Yeah, I remember that, but I don't know how you can retrieve facts from your brain when I'm so uncomfortable.
We had a collection of cringe videos for Sam. God, you guys would have a fucking field day with it.
Really?
Because of that. Yeah, because he would never have mentioned anybody else, I now realize.
Oh, he's going to promote him.
Well, I'm working on replacing Jay Leno.
Right. And I wouldn't feel any guilt over that either.
No kidding.
No, John, in all fairness to Billy, actually, it's like, hey, look, the guy probably said they're going to continue producing the show. What the hell? I mean, I might as well do the voices.
How many times can we spin the top? The dreidel is just...
Yeah.
Jesus
Unbelievable.
Christ. We're spinning quarters, people.
It's probably for this very reason V didn't want to get on you. Like what your point was very good. It was astute. The point you made about her thinking more about the future and what it wouldn't accomplish to get on the air. But I'm thinking she's also figuring if V gets on, Howard will take whatever side he wants and just not be reasonable, obviously, which he never was. But then the idea of how do you rationalize with somebody that has no actual backbone and has no belief? He's just about making Billy as uncomfortable as he fucking can, making this guy look to be some kind of, I don't know what. Like, there's no win. It's a no-win situation.
That's why as much as we wish for our own vitriolic hurrah, want her to call in.
Totally.
Of course we do. You guys instead have to settle for my version of what it would be like, because that's all we're going to get. And I think the smartest thing she could have done was pragmatically take a deep breath and decide my husband's career is not worth throwing down the toilet possibly for somebody who's flip-flopping like a goddamn goldfish scooped out of a fishbowl by a 4-year-old and just flopping on the counter. Nobody, he stands for nothing.
Yeah. And you believe that I was thinking just now that maybe privately she told Howard off, but I don't even believe she did either. I think she just literally said, fuck him, fuck them, fuck this. We are leaving this fucking show when we get this figured out. He is gone and he is never coming back. And that was it. A switch went off in her head and she said, fuck them forever.
There's just in this conversation in the last 3 minutes alone, there's so many change ups. It's a Buffy the Vampire neck snap, back and forth. It's a season finale neck snap-orama. There's so many back and forth changes that she's probably like, thank God I didn't say anything.
I think that's also part of what makes it so uncomfortable is that there's no logical progression to the conversation or the actual there's no logic to the actual arguments. Just one sec.
Right? They're only going to bring in some other guy to do the voices. I guess.
I had to audition for it.
Right.
You mean you didn't have the job on Oxazo?
There was a wall of tapes the size of your house, Robin.
Sheesh.
Wow.
So somebody was going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm sorry you guys staring at each other like that.
Somebody was going to exterminate the Jews anyways.
Right.
What?
Oh!
What the fuck?
Okay.
Jesus Christ almighty.
So, oh my God. So now he is comparing losing his job because he was incompetent, not timely, didn't produce things on time, was molesting children, to the fact that Nazis killed Jews on orders.
This is I think Holocaust fucking mentions are a little too. I'm guilty of it myself, guys. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. I think they're a little they're done a little flippantly in modern society when you think that it was only about, let's see, 20, 50 years, 70 years ago, that just over 70 years ago, that this horrific genocide took place, and then we throw it in. It's easy because it's comedians do it all the time. It's an immediate reference. Everybody knows what it is, and it's so extreme that it begets a reaction. But in this fucking case,
he's actually throwing it in for sympathy.
Well, I'm saying like this basically disgraced out of the business, like one trick pony, is throwing Billy under the bus again. Casting aspersions on his character when we have already said he has nothing to do with the decision making at Ren and Stimpy or any place he works at. They hire him to do a job. That's it.
Nickelodeon's Operation Paperclip. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and it didn't. I mentioned this before that Dan Schneider was still being employed by Nickelodeon for those kids programs at this time, wasn't he?
Yes.
Fuck. So Nickelodeon needs the fucking Me Too. When are they gonna fucking hit the dirt?
Billy's like, just let me do some voices, get some benefits, and I'm sorry, Howard. Again, I'd be here if you paid me more.
Right. Billy is a really, really overly talented union stiff. Like he's just a union guy trying to do. What's the difference between him and a guy loading orange juice trucks? Well, okay, he's not doing physical labor, but he's a union guy. And I know that most unions, I imagine most union people would stick together on the basis of, I don't know, maybe I'm being idyllic here, but I think maybe I'm being idealistic, but I think that once you're union all the way.
Oh, yeah. I'm totally union. And I love, all for Amazon. I wish they would go union.
Well, anyway, so in this case, again, it's Billy. I really admire Billy's tact in the whole thing. I like the way he's handling it, but I don't know that I could do it the way he's doing it.
I wouldn't be as
passive.
He's handling it really incredibly well. I'd be sending pot shots left and right.
Yeah.
I'd be a little shitty towards that weasel sitting across from me.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well have been me. Somebody was going to drive the getaway car.
Hey, Billy, I still like you. Well, John, I want to offer my congratulations on your new comic book called The Comic. And that'll be in our stores when? In August. And I like the characters. They are drawn beautifully. And I would actually like to see Billy involved in this project.
Would you ever work with Billy again?
If I could get him for scale.
He's too expensive now. He's become very, very popular in the cartooning industry.
So you would work.
And such mockery in his voice, such derision in his voice. You can hear it. Wig hates Billy so much. He hates him. Fucking hates him. Can't stand him.
He so hates that he's talented. He hated Artie for being talented too.
Mm-hmm. And that's the parallel everybody brings. A lot of people in the comments for the first video said this is worse than the bro fight, and I agree. Actually, it's a lot worse.
It actually makes me. I get almost verklempt. I don't like when talented people get shit on, and I get really upset. It's so annoying to see talented people getting shit on by this asshole. I hate.
Well, not even that. It's not talented people. It's talented people that don't deserve it.
Right.
Right. This isn't Harvey Weinstein, a talented producer who's a fucking shitbag. This is a talented voice guy.
Billy
wasn't even a full-time worker there. He was just a part-time employee of the station. He was a full-time employee of the station, but working so many different fucking gigs. All he wanted was a full-time gig on the Stern Show, and they wouldn't offer it to him. Wonder why.
And if anybody doesn't know the Billy West history and you look up his clips, please do. He's just phenomenal.
Yes,
and his humor is, you might think, oh my God, this humor is just, no, it's irony. And if you don't understand ironic humor, well, I'm sorry for you.
What do you do? Yeah.
Work with him.
This is very beautifully drawn. He didn't say he'd work with him.
He's like me on a date with Clarence.
If he apologized, I would work with him.
You would?
Mm-hmm.
Billy, say you're sorry.
Billy, say you're sorry. What's the big deal?
Bucks.
It's money.
If he was honest about it, I would.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
I love this.
He does.
You know, it's
That's the one point where he's being honest, Wiggy. Poor Sam. Like Sam's just incredulous. She really is at this. She's like her two, aunt and uncle's house or something, and they need to divorce for 20 years and they haven't. They're still stuck together, and you can feel the fucking tension on the walls.
I'm ready to break things.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's all these plastic toys around me. I'm just ready to be like, Mia, I'm sorry. Tomorrow you're gonna wake up and there's no more Barbie Dream House.
Her head's been sawed off and shit.
But listen, it also is too, like, there's never enough apology you can give to these people. So if Billy were to say sorry to John, it would never be enough. When you're wrong in these situations to these entitled shitbag elitist motherfuckers, they just think they're right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. If you were to say right, that's why I hate when people apologize for things they shouldn't be apologizing for. And this happens all the time now. Nobody's accepting it. It'll never be enough. You're still going to lose your job. Nobody's going to respect you. Hold your ground. Stop saying sorry. Gray rock those fuckers like Billy did. Get your job and do what you have to do for your family.
And Billy, you will not apologize, right?
No.
What happened to Billy's wife?
I don't know. I just have,
She won't come on now?
She just doesn't want to come on, it appears. But it's funny because Ganji and I are sitting out there listening to this thing, and Ganji said there's like something brewing here that's just not happening.
It's right under the surface.
It's ready to blow. We can't figure out what it is.
It's festering.
It's not ready to blow. V's probably fucking blowing up. But what Grillo is, as much as an idiot he's actually he's right. Like there's an undercurrent of cringe clearly that they're all feeling, and they're not willing to accept it. But it's controlled emotion. That's Billy. Like you see that look in his face. He's like, I've got you. Like you think you've got me. I've actually got one on you because I'm not giving in. And I know this is a shit segment, and you're going to air it, but no one watching this is going to be entertained the way you want them to be. They're going to see this. They're going to take it as, Howard, you're the asshole. And that's exactly what Billy knows.
And this is entirely my point, when don't apologize when you're not wrong. Don't bow and apologize for the sake of the apology to get to the next level, to appease somebody. Right. If you're just doing it to appease somebody else, but you don't actually genuinely feel the way
like you should apologize,
don't do it.
Yeah. It just weakens your position. It weakens their estimation of you, and it lowers their estimation of you as a human being. And ultimately, you're giving someone like Howard, the narcissist, like this kind of power that, I broke you. And what it is in this segment, he can't. And Billy went on to bigger, better things. So fuck you, Wiggy. Sorry.
Yep.
I know what it is. John feels that, hey, we should have stuck together as a team, put pressure on Nickelodeon.
Check that crazy.
Who knows how
Look at those fucking crazy eyes, man. Did you see that segment?
It's like
fuck. Let me go through that right again. Sorry, I got to get right there again.
It's festering.
I know what it is. John feels that, hey, we should have stuck together as a team, put pressure on Nickelodeon, and therefore, but who knows how reasonable John was. John, you might be completely unreasonable.
Billy's right. Somebody in those 50 tapes would have gotten the job anyway,
and you might be
gone on.
And you might be really difficult to work with or something, right?
I mean,
okay, so there it would seem like, okay, Howard's finally being neutral, but he's not. Like it's directly, that's just like a token. Okay, Billy, maybe this guy was tough to deal with. 30 minutes into the fucking interview.
Yeah, there you go. So
was he difficult, Billy?
Billy?
Not to me.
No.
Nope. I wanted to leave all the jokes in, so that's difficult.
Right, and they wanted to take him out.
Right.
And you had integrity. See, I admire that. I would have walked out with you, but Billy's a different story.
Now, did
Bob,
Billy...
could you imagine Howard walking out? Yeah, you would walk out like you walked out of CBS. Oh no, I'm sorry. Were you crying in front of Les Moonves?
I love that. I fucking love that.
Don't sue me.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, a grown man.
He didn't care about the writing or anything.
I wouldn't. You want to know something?
He said whatever was written on the paper.
Yeah, Billy's hired to do the voice.
I used to embellish.
Billy is hired to do the voice of Ren and Stimpy. In Billy's defense, I mean, that's what he's hired to do.
Stimpy.
So is that a drinking game or not? Like, how many times does he say Stampy? Just take a shot. Cuervo.
Isn't it like, what do you, like, put a stint or isn't that like a medical thing?
Your passport's clear.
I've been at stations where people walked out because they wanted to play a certain kind of music and they thought they had integrity, and I said, I have no integrity, I'm staying. So I've done the same thing Billy's done.
Truer words were never spoke.
Remember the one Allison, the DJ who said that too? The one who used to DJ with him when he first started, and they used to play off the wall stuff. And remember, she was a DJ with him, and she did an interview, and she said that she played.
Oh, not Allison Steele. It was Meg Griffin.
Meg Griffin, thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. I mixed up the names. Meg Griffin was like he was scared.
No, he bent over and he fucking dropped his pants and he said, just don't stick it in too far. And he was like, he would have done anything for a gig. And we didn't give him shit for that. We said like, yeah, well, you're starting out as a DJ. You got to do whatever you can to keep the gig. So that the way he paints is just so fucking cringe and so awful. That's the real takeaway.
I'm like, hey, I'll stay. But I see John's
you did
point.
That at one whole station, right? Where the program director and everybody got fired.
Yeah, but these people were acting like, hey, I said, I got to work. But then again, John's point is well taken. This is a different situation. John created this cartoon.
That's true.
Brought Billy into it and the whole thing. And
you know how you felt when Fred stayed on the air at NBC?
Yeah, I mean,
But I left.
Yeah, he did eventually.
He eventually left.
Interesting. They bring this up.
That, like I said in the beginning of this, remember?
Yep,
How do you feel when Robin, goodbye?
Because when he left, I believe it was Al Rosenberg and Bowie and Fred that kind of did their own show at it wasn't Bowie, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was. And for a short time, and then finally, whatever, the group gets together at NBC, but not before Robin's talking shit about
Robin
him, calling him a racist.
In the mode of friendlies.
Yeah, and going to the newspapers and saying he's a fucking racist.
Yeah, like newspaper articles.
Yeah, I wish I could get that. Fuck, I don't know what kind of microfiche I got to go through or some archive, but I'd love to find that article.
So I don't know. Is Billy a backstabber? Is John a lunatic? I don't know.
It
sounds like a little bit.
We weren't there, so we can't really say for sure.
So how'd you get?
Are you a narcissist? Are you closeted homosexual?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a beard?
Mm-hmm.
Not take care of your kids? All made by a turkey baster?
Yep.
Have a gay stylist that has been your partner for all these years that you're not talking about?
Mm-hmm.
An open relationship?
Your thoughts, Howard?
The news that Billy was staying on Ren and Stampy.
Where were you? I got the package of wieners.
Oh. Did you really send Red Hots?
No.
No.
No,
Yes,
he says that
did.
Billy's agent called, right?
Oh. Oh, Billy's agent called? And what did he say?
He said we're going to really gouge him.
Oh. And you went, oh, great.
I said, well,
what's in it for me?
That'll make everything great. Thanks. You're going to get even more money.
Yeah.
This is the problem. The other thing, we were talking about Wiggy being unconvincing as an actor. John Kay comes off incredibly insincere. Like you can tell that he's full of shit himself just listening to him. There's not an ounce. There's nothing in me believes anything he's saying, and that's not colored by his more recent, scandals. That's not. That's if you were a jury listening to this guy, you wouldn't believe him on the stand.
I don't believe him in his project. So if you're excited about a project or you're promoting it, you are confident in your talent, as you can tell when Billy talks about his talent or talks about his abilities. If you watch John talk about his talent and what he has going in development, quote unquote, or whatever he's doing, does he sound confident in the slightest in any of these projects?
No, it sounds like an afterthought. It sounds like this is what I'm going to say while I'm there, to make it seem like I got something going on and hopefully fucking land a deal somewhere. But even if he's got stuff going on, it doesn't sound like he's fully committed. It sounds like just a bunch of bullshit front to excuse an appearance going on where I trash Billy.
Doesn't it sound, I don't know, kind of parallel or like something like a whack packer does? Like Jeff the Drunk's got something going on. Riley Martin's got something going on. I mean, it's about the same. They're saying they have something going is about as reasonable and, believable as this guy.
That's what I mean.
I believe their situation as much as I believe this guy's. Like, oh, okay, sure.
Well, that's what I mean. It's a
Yeah.
razor thin premise. Like Jeff the Drunk is appearing at fucking Zany's handing out flyers. We're gonna have him in the studio for an hour. Really? That's why you're gonna have him in for an hour?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But okay, so John Kay is coming in for something in development. Really? This is like having The Rock come in and say, "I'm thinking about doing a movie about da 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 da." Okay, we'll keep you in for an hour. We'll talk to you about this prospective job you've got lined up in your mind that doesn't seem to exist in any boardroom table in any film studio. Okay, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to get more money out of this situation.
Guess what? Your leaving has made it possible for Billy to do better.
Yeah, I want to thank you.
Put on the hats and blow the horn.
Right on. Jackie, where do you stand on this?
I think it's great. I don't know what... I don't think we're getting the true story of what
No, I think we are. What truth is being left out?
What more do you need?
John is saying he created this thing. It took him 10 years to come up and sell the whole thing.
Sell it.
And a show of solidarity. He feels everyone should have walked out on the show. And Billy...
Oh God, Jackie must be fucking right now. He's he's just in under his. He's just like giving him the finger under the board or something. He's like, "Fuck you, solidarity." Do you know what I'm fucking going through with the negotiations every single fucking time?
The awkwardness and the intersectionality of what we know. I'm being pulled like, you know how torture used to be, where you like go on a board and it's like, pull your hands in one way and your legs in the other, and a horse-drawn carriage split your legs apart.
Like at the end of Braveheart.
I feel like right now, like this is just too much.
Yeah, it is.
It's too much.
And Fred, and you saw the look of Fred. Okay, we only see him maybe once or twice during the whole thing, but you saw the look in his face. He was like, I'd like to be anywhere but here right now."
Yeah.
Robin's fine though. She's fine torturing Billy because whatever Howard likes is whatever she likes.
She is a dunce. She's just like a dense, anything to lick the ball's ass and just be in the spotlight. And also she likes to create drama, and she likes to be in the spotlight. So
yeah, the other thing is, as long as she's not a target, she's fine. She's all in. She doesn't care.
Oh,
you
yeah, she definitely
Billy?
likes to pile on Robin. That's one of her favorite hobbies.
Oh, yes. And yeah, because again, I think with a lot of them, it was that whole thing of, listen, if I can extend this bit of him fucking on Stuttering John, that's one extra less minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes that he's going to spend fucking on me.
He stayed and took over his voice. Do I have it right?
Yes.
And Billy's saying, hey,
it was a job.
I was a job. I did it.
So you think it's a total standoff? You don't think there's a right or a wrong here?
No, we're asking you where you come down on it. Who's right?
I'm just totally entertained. I don't know. I'm on Billy's side because I know Billy. If I know John, or if somebody's really wrong.
You should go back to drinking heavily.
I have.
All right. I mean,
Yeah, you don't fucking hate Billy, so fuck you, Jackie. Your opinion is not wanted. Robin, let's get back to trashing Billy. Am I wrong?
Gun to the head. And the gun to the head is, you better answer how I like it, or your salary's in jeopardy.
Bingo. 100%.
No, what Jackie's saying is the problem is we just don't know the whole situation.
I think we should talk to the girl more. That is
all.
what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying.
That is not what Jackie's saying.
What is Jackie saying?
At all.
Yeah, you see everything so
Robin.
clearly.
Jackie is, as usual, unable to make a choice.
Right.
Jackie is unable to make a choice because Jackie sees the parallels between his situation and Billy's.
Absolutely.
Bitch.
And he's on Billy's side also because Billy is probably a nice person. I mean, at this point, I believe Billy is sober. Jackie's not, but they would have more in common, just kind of being, hired guns and not feeling part of the group because, well, they're represented by outside parties. And every time they have to, like, if Billy's in negotiation and Jackie's always in negotiation, like I don't know how he structured his deals, if they were multi-year, like 3-year, 5-year, whatever. But if Billy's just a hired gun there as well, he would be made to feel like, I'm not one of Fred, Robin, or Howard. So it's us against them. Bowie would have felt the same, except that he was just too cowardly.
They should have unionized.
Yep, totally.
Exactly what Billy did in this situation.
What would you have done, Robin? Now that you know the facts,
I would have left.
you would have left the
Yeah.
show. It's like
That's funny. She would have left. She told John, stuttering John, and goes, you know, you got to do what you got to do. He's not paying anybody, but you know, like he doesn't take care of people. You got to take. They're going to start leaving. What did she do? She stayed. Yeah, exactly.
It's like if when we were in Washington and they brought in the grease man and they said to you, we're going to give you, I think they were going to give you $150,000.
It was a 5-year contract for, I don't know, close to $500,000 or
Right.
something.
You
Yeah.
made it easy for her. You
And
asked
they
her what
did-
she would do.
Well, hold it. Would you wait a second? They came to Robin. Robin and I had created a show together, and they said, we're going to bring in this
crazy
Howard
eyes.
substitute, and you work with him. And here's $500,000 if you do it.
Billy does a good impression of you.
He does?
Practicing.
Really? Is that true, Billy?
What?
Hey, you're sweating. Look at your upper lip.
Probably fucking boiling in that fucking studio. They probably don't have air conditioning. Not willing to pay for
sweating.
it. You're watching it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I was just drinking
Oh,
coffee.
yeah, I don't know, man.
I just spilled coffee all over my face.
Robin did walk out.
Well, that's very noble.
You got to admire that.
I do.
I was
would
in
not
bad
been
breath.
the
I wish
one
I
to
could be a lot
exterminate
like
the
Robin.
Jews. I
Do you?
would not
Yes.
have been the one to exterminate the Jews.
Yeah.
Oh, she knew what to hitch her wagon on because she knew he was a racist. She hitched her wagon on knowing the
Yes.
full well fact that she knew
She's taking orders.
that
She was just
he
taking
was
orders.
a racist.
Yeah.
And she knew that he needed her more than anyone to get away with the shit that he needed to get away with. Period. End of story.
Yeah, well,
It
she
wasn't
couldn't.
about the money so
she
much
couldn't
as it
carry a
was
show.
about he needed her, and he knew he needed her to say whatever the fuck he wanted to say, and
Totally.
that's it.
Yep.
That's
It was
it.
a perfect It was a perfect accidental synergy. It was totally thrown upon them, but then two egotistical assholes. I'm sure he thought when he accepted that first the NBC job, WNBC job, that he's like, and he left her and Fred in Washington, that he's like, I don't need them. I just don't need them. That's the only reason. That's the only rationale for not trying to get them to get a job with you.
Listen, he didn't realize that he was an
Untalented
really-
piece of shit.
yeah, he really just doesn't
Yeah.
understand how untalented he is.
No, he doesn't.
But that's a different situation. Robin realized who would need me more and who would keep me no matter what.
Do you think he thought that at all? Do you think he had some kind of revelation, like, oh, okay, I'm really gonna have to, I'm gonna need a Robin? So do you think she had leverage and that's why she's gotten so much more money than everybody else for years?
100%, especially
Okay.
after the Selena thing.
Okay, maybe you're right. I'd say there's a stronger argument for that than the other way.
I can clearly say Robin would not have exterminated the Jews.
You wouldn't have taken like one of those pile drivers and shoveled skinny little bodies
Nope.
into ditches.
Not me.
No Treblinka, no Auschwitz, no Sobibor, no.
None of that.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might have done it. Watching the people into the ovens, I could have done it. No, I don't know.
me.
I don't know. Well, I guess there's no resolution to this, is there, John? I guess it's a standoff.
The easiest resolution is an apology.
But I don't think Billy feels.
You brought up as an example earlier that I will go back to the Selena thing, right? He made certain comments about Tejano music and Latinos or Mexicans. I can't remember the exact quote, but they have horrible taste in music. And then Fred played the gunshots. It really was like a quick thing, actually. It wasn't usually his 1 hour rants on something. And he was made to apologize in Spanish. It's one of the worst. It was actually one of the most cringiest things. We might have to go through that one day.
I remember that it was so cringy.
Okay, so Mr. Free Speech, all this money, but he's still dictated by the dollar. And he lost, I think it was Houston or Dallas. I think Dallas canceled him after one. It might have been Houston, but either way, one of the Texas markets just cut the show completely. That's money out of his pocket. His freedom of speech bullshit is just bullshit once you take away his marbles. At that point, he will say, fucking yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. Once you decide, okay, we're going to now not cancel you necessarily, but we're going to take money away from your purse. So your principle should be stronger than the loss of those marbles. If he's if he's so adamant, free speech advocate.
100% perfect description of what I'm trying to say is him saying that I'd be the one shoveling the bodies is exactly his free speech principle. He has no problem.
No backbone.
Just giving that up. None.
Nothing. No.
He stands for nothing.
There's a great. I keep bringing up Richard Pryor, but there's a bit in his box set called Patty Hearst, and he talks about Patty Hearst talked about how she was brainwashed, joined the SLA and robbing banks, and he goes that's easy to understand because a lot of brothers came over to America in chains and joined America. He goes, that shit can work. He goes, I'd have been brainwashed too if I were in a room full of motherfuckers with machine guns. He goes, yeah, what you talking about? Kill my dad? You goddamn right. I'll meet you at the house. It's like, so in the face of this, you have to give Billy even more credit for sticking by his principles and saying, no, I did what I was supposed to do. I have no guilt about this. And I'm not going to be railroaded into feeling some kind of bad vibes because, I should feel bad because John Kay lost his job. Who the fuck is John Kay to me?
And even more so, look at how he's playing this. He's saying, no, you wouldn't do this. You would do this. And he's kind of needling it in a very smart, subtle way. I really enjoy this.
It's appropriate.
No, I don't think he's allowed yet. It's not in the contract.
No. Billy feels. Look, he
didn't do anything wrong.
He didn't do anything. He feels he didn't do anything wrong.
He was just following orders.
My dad would know the answer to this. My dad is good at stuff like this.
Fuck you, Rob.
Want to call my dad?
Yeah.
What? How old are you? You want to call my dad?
And by the way, his dad. He knew he was going to call his dad. He didn't let's talk to my dad. Bullshit.
If he hasn't been listening, I don't want to explain the whole thing. Yeah.
If he has, it would be interesting to hear what he has to say.
My dad would know who's right in this situation.
I think so.
Yeah, he's like that. She chopped me and my sister in half. We were.
Well, it's a King Solomon reference, I suppose, right?
I suppose I'm not up on all my biblical tales.
It's who wanted the baby, and they said, "Oh, well." The King Solomon said, "I think we'll chop." I think it was that, and we'll chop the baby in half. And they said, "Fine." And whoever said, "No, I want the baby to live," they got the baby because they wanted the baby to live, versus chopping it in half and half and half. I think that's the story. But besides that, Ben always is Howard smarts. Whatever smarts Howard has is Ben. It has nothing to do with Howard. Anything that Howard is intelligent about comes right from Ben.
That's correct. Yeah, and the other thing is, any principles, it's a different story. Ben's principles are his own. Howard doesn't adopt those. Howard's principles like a fucking bamboo vine, a bamboo tree, like swaying in the wind. He goes whatever direction. But when it comes to what his situation in Syria, if Ben was still able to talk, he'd tell you what he read and this and that. And it might be the New York Times, but it might also be whatever other fucking newspapers he reads, because Ben Stern used to actually be quite when he was lucid and when he was still on the air, he was sharp as a fucking tack.
Sharp as a tack.
Yeah, as opposed to this fucking 79 son of his who he had to pay to shoehorn into fucking Boston Basic Studies based Boston University. And
I actually wish he had a TV. I wish he had a radio show. Like, I'm like, damn it, I wish Ben had a radio show, because I want to know more about what Ben Stern thought about certain issues and topics back in the day.
Sure.
Siamese twins. I think this is healthy, what's going on here. By the way,
it's a cleansing.
John Kay, the creator of Ren and Stimpy, even though you wouldn't know it from watching the Conan show.
Or, listening to Billy.
John Kay, the creator of Ren and Stimpy, has come out with a whole new line of products and comics called Comic Book.
and it's some pretty funny stuff.
We're getting your dad on the phone now, but it's funny because Ralph and I are having a huge argument in the office.
What does Ralph say?
Well, I side with Billy.
Yeah.
And Ralph sides with John because I said, Ralph says, hey, Billy owes John. And I said, no, John hired Billy to do a job.
Right.
He did the job well, as John would have liked him to.
Right.
And it's not like Billy conspired to get rid of John. John left. But Ralph's saying that
he was fired. He didn't leave. He was fired. And Ralph will believe anything his boss tells him to believe. So fuck what Ralph has to say.
More importantly, of course, Ralph is going to side with John because Ralph does basically nothing.
Right.
And has to keep his job for doing absolutely fucking nothing horribly, may I add.
Yep.
And he's also a derelict of his duties that needs to keep fucking getting paid. So, of course.
Do you remember the video where he got shit on by Gary, and then it was brought up that it was Billy actually. He asked Billy to write stuff for him, or he asked V to ask, like, can Billy write some stuff for me? And he was expected to do it for free. And then she was fucking furious, and she called in, and then everybody piled on Ralph. And Howard was like, I love this, but like Billy was clearly. Everybody was like, Ralph is clearly a disruptive force, but you keep him in. And there's a guy calls in and says, I'm a psychologist. He goes, you have a perfect cult going on here. Ralph is a low-level sociopath, and he will do anything. I love that clip.
I've listened to this clip multiple times, and it is so interesting because Billy is doing, in the beginning of the clip, basically doing the respectable thing that he's doing in this John K. thing where he's not saying very much.
That's right.
But then the only reason why he starts actually sticking up for himself is because Ralph becomes belligerently, inappropriately stupid about his role in the situation. And that's when Billy's like, no, motherfucker, he doesn't do it like that. But he basically is like, no, you asked me to do something and you're not helpful. You're not contributing. You did ask me to do this. You didn't do the tasks you were asked to do for A, B, and C. And you're trying to get side jobs. So he was trying to side hustle. He was asking Billy to help him without Howard's knowledge.
That's right.
And he was also not doing his jobs that he was supposed to be doing correctly.
Well, what happened is with that particular video, at one point, Jackie says, well, she's the boss's boyfriend, so of course you're going to believe whatever Ralph says, and you're going to take his side. That wasn't a joke. I'm sure deep down inside, if you put those fucking guys in truth serum, like, no, yeah, that's the guy that Howard's fucking on the side. And so, yeah, of course, when they say the boss's girlfriend, they meant the boss's girlfriend. They weren't joking.
Of course.
Like it was a joke, but it wasn't.
It's not a joke. And I do think that this deserves its own series, but we should call it The Boss's Girlfriend and go over the situations where it's rubber meets the road and we're like, what's going on here? And it's kind of that uncomfortable point.
Billy owes him big time. He stabbed him in the back.
Stuttering John, where do you stand?
Well, was John responsible for getting Billy's job? Like, did you say that you wanted Billy to work?
No,
there?
Stuttering John, where's my dad?
Yes, he's on the phone.
Has he been listening?
I don't know. I just.
Thank you.
I just got him.
Do you like that? So he goes, were you responsible for getting Billy's job? And cuts him right off. But
both John and Billy said yes. That means John K would have had a say in who got hired back in the when it first started. So like early on, he's not fucking up because it's drawing board days. So he probably said, I like that guy. He probably had a say in who was going to do the voices.
Right, but it's just like, even if it's just
regardless.
Like John, it doesn't matter. It's my show. You're not going to have we're not going to.
Don't fuck with my agenda.
Right. That's exactly what it is. That's the difference between his show and something like Rogan, where it's like, let's let some things happen organically. Howard, so now that we see it in hindsight, it is crazy.
Yeah, it's, if you want to do another analogy, I don't know, it would be like a natural stream of conversation that like the water could go anywhere, basically. If it's a stream, as opposed to a controlled aqueduct. Like where the water is funneled in a certain way. That's Wig's show. So, and Rogan, it could go anyway. Like it could, you don't know what direction it's going to take, which is good. There is somewhat of a formatted show, within the time constraints and whatever, and what he wants to talk about. But there's also opportunities for Rogan to go another direction based on the answer and roll with it basically. Wiggy's like, no way, we're gonna go with this. You were mad when you fucking wrote Stairway to Heaven when you recorded it and all this shit. I'm gonna mandate that it goes this way, whether you like it or not.
It's like, you know who the person you're having on is, so you have them on for a reason, but you don't know what they're gonna say. Versus Wig, who kind of is like, give me like 5. You know, they make them give like a kind of rundown about what they want to do, and then they have all these preemptive topics, and they have a certain, you know, it's very pre-planned. But it's the same thing in like stuff that we do. You know what I mean? We have a pre-idea of what we're going to do, but there's no shape, way, or form we control what you and I are saying to each other.
Yes. And we also control the final product. When we recorded the interview with Richie, we went longer than I thought we would, and he was, gracious enough to give us that extra time. But we had questions we didn't even get to, and that's because, well, time constraints, obviously. But it could have went any number of ways based on those questions, but also based on his answers, and that's a natural interview.
To this?
Yes.
All right.
Good.
What do you think is the answer here?
Well, first of all, we have to establish what the relationship was prior to what happened.
Howard, can I say one thing?
In other words,
Jackie, let my dad handle this.
But there's one thing we don't know is did the producers know Billy could do the other voice before they got rid of him? In other words, did they have him lined up?
Well, I think there's enough guys who can do Peter Lorre. Right. It's not like Billy's the only one. Wait. Even I can do that. Hey, look at this, Rand. We got a big problem. Even I do that.
No, here's the thing. Was he just working for the people who were producing this show? In other words, he wasn't working for the John, was he?
He was working for me, yeah.
Oh, he was working for you?
Yeah, he was working for John.
So you were his employer.
Right.
Well, then it's employer-employee relationship.
Right.
Now, this guy, Billy was just an employee. So
right.
It had to do with the posture he had to take. As far as what he's concerned was relationship to you, that if he felt as an employee, he didn't have other employees to walk out on. Were any other employees walking out?
50 of them, right?
In other words, it was like a...
Fuck off, Howard. They got rid of 50. It wasn't a walkout. If they were let go, it's not a fucking walkout.
I'm not even understanding this correctly. So I don't think John is painting this correctly. So John left. There's no way 50 people
He didn't leave. He was fired. He was let go. Like, they canned his ass. Right.
So 50 people just also simultaneously left or got fired.
No way. They got fired. They got let go. What I believe happened was the production company said, we're starting from scratch and we're going to get whoever we need, and that includes voice actors. John Kay is not going to be part of it going forward, even if he retains ownership. And we're going to look for it and they go, Jesus, why not get Billy? He was professional. He did his job. He didn't come in fucking loaded.
Because I think too, the stuff and we had people in the comments saying, well, how do you guys know that he if you watch that documentary, there is no fucking way
that people walked out with John Kay in solidarity?
I don't believe for 5 seconds that he wasn't fucking young girls. Like, period.
How did you get the documentary, by the way? Is it on Netflix?
There was, no, you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch... Really? Yeah. And you can watch it also, stuff about him on YouTube and Nickelodeon.
Okay. So this is you're talking, we mentioned it in the first episode, Happy Joy Joy was the name of the doc. And, but there are other like documentaries that people have made, like fan made ones. Yeah. And Nickelodeon stuff you can watch on YouTube, which I did. And there's just no, so when people, on our last episode commented like about Bill Cosby and you guys shouldn't so Russell
flippantly.
Simmons.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm pretty confident that people in Hollywood are shady. And I'm pretty confident that people listen, this guy, these girls don't seem to be, I don't know, they don't seem like does in the woods to me.
Basically, it's how do you feel, and based on what you've seen, we're giving our opinion. That's the whole point. We're not a judge, we're not a jury, and we've convicted these people.
Yeah,
John Kay has never done time.
I'm giving my opinion.
John Kay's never done time. Russell Simmons is not in jail for anything he's done. And Bill Cosby, I mean, Christ, if half of what he's done is true, if a quarter of what he's done is true, he's one of the most vile fucking human beings on the planet. Is it unique? Is it unbelievable for something like this to happen? Of course not. In the business, it's the rule to be these scum fucks.
Listen, do most people have a pattern that follows them? That most, okay, even wealthy people or celebrities. I don't know many people who have these things that follow them for some unnamed reason. You know what I mean? Like, it just, it doesn't make sense to me that would keep happening over and over again. That people keep accusing them of these similar things that just keep happening for like Bill Cosby or this guy, or do you know what I'm saying? It seems to follow a pattern.
Yeah, and in the case of Mike Tyson, I think first of all he was convicted of rape. Whether he was guilty or not is a whole other matter. But beyond that, if you listen to the Rogan interview with Teddy Atlas, who might have had an axe to grind with him, he talks. He alludes to it, but he doesn't say it. He goes, Customato, when Mike was was training and whatever, he's still a young guy. A lot of his awful behavior was excused because Cuss wanted to be the manager of the trainer of a heavyweight champion. And so a lot of stuff was like swept under the table or outright ignored because of that fact. He doesn't go into much detail, but I bet you it's pretty shady shit. I like it not because Mike is black, for fuck's sake. Who gives a shit? Do you know how many like people look at so Jimmy Savile, is that because he's black or because fucking 100 kids were on his show that are coming out after the fact that were silenced?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with color, by the way. What does it have to do with anything? Who's it? Some shit like Gary Glitter, for that matter. Fuck's sake. I know. Look at this guy.
Right. So anyway, there's shitloads. I'm scraping the surface of these scandalous assholes. But that's sorry for the digression, guys. But that was in the comments, and we needed to talk about it. So we'll continue.
They fired the whole studio.
They fired the whole studio,
and
John's studio.
Most of the people stayed with us, and a few people went with Billy.
When he's talking about most people stayed with us, he's saying most people hitched their wagon to him, hoping that they could, get more employment with him with his new Spumco, I think was the name of the production company that he started. And I don't think it ended up being anything really, including this George Liquor and all this bullshit, he's coming on to promote. And so they were just sycophants. And Billy K, Jesus, forgive me. Billy goes on to say that in the early days of the internet, it was all like John K. sycophants who went after, Billy or whoever else, like, fuck you. He was a genius. He was like the next coming of Mel Blanc and Chuck Jones and all this horse shit. So I think that's what he's making reference to, but he won't say it.
You know what? The only question I have, why in God's name did they fire the whole studio?
They fired the studio because they felt they could do it cheaper and
creative differences.
They didn't, honestly, what happened is they didn't really want to take it over. They wanted us to keep doing it, but just with them in charge.
Right. And you didn't want them in charge.
They offered to buy me out, too.
Right.
And I said no.
Because you had some integrity.
Well, I knew what was going to happen on the show. I knew it was going to die.
Right.
Which it did.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be part of that.
So basically, Billy was fired, too.
After 3 years.
And rehired.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Billy was fired. He was let go and then reapplied. Like, okay, so what? Like, what? That's Judas? All of a sudden, he got 30 pieces of silver?
His behavior was deplorable. Snick was once a week. He wasn't producing the shows as fast as they needed him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't working fast enough, or whatever the hell was going on with John K.
Whatever happens in any business, okay, if you're a writer for The Tonight Show and you don't produce enough stuff or in a timely fashion, if you're a comic book artist and you don't draw fast enough and the title is behind schedule, people get pissed. It's the people in charge that make the decisions and behind the scenes. And if he was, and we talked about that, we talked about this in the comments actually of the first video. If the powers that be that he sold it to and gave, I guess, 50% or more ownership of the show, if he wanted to sell it and still retain part ownership, if they called the shots, then he has no case. Like he can take whatever morals
from the beginning.
Yeah, he can take whatever moral stance, but the fact is, you have to admit, I didn't have control of it anymore, and I can only refused to
You
work.
sold it. You sold it. You fucked up from the get-go. If you weren't interested in the profit from the get-go, you could have had creative control of this, and then you could have formed a union. You could have leveraged your creativity to form a union and say, listen, I will give you this show and this creative force if you form a union and guarantee us this amount of time to work on something, this amount of hours for this amount of pay. But instead, you selfishly sold your show for yourself and then wanted the union benefits, but you already gave away your leverage.
Well, that was it. But also, like, if he could have independently, it was pre-GoFundMe, but he could have tried independent financing. He could have gone to Japan or something and leveraged, make a deal where he didn't have to give up so much, and he could still retain reasonable creative control.
I understand why he did. He was a young person who didn't have any means besides his creativity and his thing, so he sold it and made some money. Fine.
Yes.
But he acts like the people who were originally around him should have, if you wanted to unionize, then you should have unionized then. You should have been forming that during the show. You should have figured that out then.
I think so. Yep.
At the time this action was taken,
he was fired.
Right. So it has to do with...
What happened was everybody took advantage of Nickelodeon because Nickelodeon didn't think that we were going to
walk.
Yeah, they didn't think that we'd do it. They thought that I'd knock under and say, okay, we'll keep doing it. No. And most of us stayed, and everybody had them by the balls.
Right.
If they had balls.
But if a few didn't crack...
Well, how many guys went back? Just Billy was the only one?
No, there was a few.
See, so they did break. So, and in other words, if this thing had been organized correctly, I mean, I have to say this.
That's right.
With you and all the other people, I don't know how it was done, that you were going to stand together.
Yeah, did you talk to Billy and tell him we have to stand together?
Yep.
That is 1,000% right.
Yeah, and don't blame you. So you can't blame Billy because Billy was not given any guarantees. Billy was not given any kind of, look, if you do this with me, I'll give you like 5% of it or 2%.
If your union doesn't come strong to the table, that's on the union. And I say this all the time. Like, I go to union meetings, and when it's contract negotiation time, like, you bet your fucking ass after coronavirus, like, when it's negotiation times, my ass is going to be in every single one of those renegotiation meetings. I don't fuck around. There's no way that Billy was believing, this guy's going to unionize just by what? His say-so?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
No. And so the other thing is, and we've mentioned it, we've gone to some points to say this, if this other salacious shit was under the surface and it was known, there's a reason why a lot of people would not have hitched their wagon to John Kay. And again, I think it's something that Jackie makes an allusion to. We don't know what the undercurrent really is. And once you factor that all in, it just makes it so like John Kay was a platform nobody wanted to stand on. Like, it was just, this guy is not trustworthy. He's not capable. He might be able to be creative, but he should not have anything to do with the production. He should not have anything to do with anything administrative.
You know what? Why wouldn't Laura Ashley over in the corner, who's the assistant, be the union rep? Why wouldn't she be the president? She could have been running the union. She could have been, the Ren and Stimpy CA for the union and start running it. And the VP could have been God knows who.
Yeah, I believe with all the sexual the underage dating and shit like that, all those allegations, I think it was just a power thing for John Kay, and it was really like me against the world kind of thing, and that was what it was truly about in the end. So he couldn't, compromise. He couldn't decide, okay, we'll take this concession, this and that, whatever. No, it was his way or the highway, and I think that's how it worked out. And once he gave away his leverage, you're right. Like, fuck it. We don't care. We don't care about your fucking opinions. We want it to be a certain way. But if you're not also on top of that responsible enough to do the job that we were going to allow you to continue doing, then fuck it. We'll get someone else.
And that actually also really undercuts people who could have been talented and made more money and leveraged their careers
completely
going forward, who could have probably unionized, which is enraging.
He already said that Billy had said, yes, I'm going with you.
Oh.
Well, then it's a question of his judgment, his morality. If he felt he had to go back. Listen, there's a lot of times there are strikes. Like you read in the paper all the time, there's a strike, and then some people do go back. You know?
And again, but Ben's coming at it from a completely erroneous point of view in the sense that he doesn't realize they're not union and they never were. That's kind of the crux of that's where it all falls apart.
I think he's just being diplomatic.
Yeah, most likely.
No, it's a question of the pressure on him. And
so you're not going to have a decision either, Ben.
Well, no, the decision is that
it's a very hard decision.
No, I'll tell you what the decision is. If he had agreed to stay out, then he did the wrong thing. That's what I'm telling you.
If he had agreed.
I'm getting to that point. If Billy had said at the point, listen, I'm with you, we're going to go out, then he's wrong for going back. Because that's not right. It's like saying a guy goes and organizes everybody to go out, they all go out, and he goes back in. That's not right.
Right, like he's
but
a
he
scab
didn't do
all of a
that.
sudden.
But he didn't do that.
No, that's why he prefaced it by saying if. So I give Ben credit for at least qualifying it.
Right.
So that's what I'm telling you is my decision. So if you lay that out, that's the point.
All right, Billy. My dad says you did the wrong thing.
Thanks, Ben.
No, he didn't.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
We heard
You're
that too.
An idiot. You're a 79.
Yeah, you wanted to go fuck Billy. So there's any apologist assholes out there that decide, oh, guys, this was a bit for the air. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep drinking your retard juice. I'm sorry. There's no other way you can spin this. There just isn't.
And anybody who organizes unions or is involved with this will totally understand this. So no.
Yep.
Look, I'm not looking at names. I'm looking at the situation.
All right, thank you, Dad. I told you he's like Solomon.
Yeah,
right.
He sorted it all out.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Pop.
Bye.
Well, there you go, John. My dad is for you.
You always have to take your
No,
dad.
he's not.
Yeah.
He's not. He's not. You're completely wrong, Howard.
Yeah,
You're not. It's not for you. He's gaslighting.
That's the most egregious form of way of gaslighting I've ever heard.
I apologize to John based on my father.
I can't do it.
Can't do it. Still think you're right.
Yeah.
How come?
Because it was a job that was offered me and I took it.
Right.
But why did you say you would go out with him in the first place?
I remember a flurry of a conversation.
A flurry?
Yes, John calling me with kind of a...
Yeah, so a flurry of a conversation. If you are going to organize, concretely organize, you're going to get a petition, you're going to get signatures, you're going to have a fundamental purpose.
Agreement, yeah.
Agreement, you're going to have a message, you're going to have a name, you're going to be organized. Having a conversation isn't unionizing. So fuck off to this premise. And if Howard doesn't understand this, I can't even believe that he's so dumb to think that that's fucking anyone over.
Well, it's again, it's that narcissism. He can't allow the truth, the facts, to get in the way of a mandate that he's dictated is going to go a certain way.
Contemplating a conversation in your head, like contemplating, okay, I'm debating this in my head. I'm weighting something and I agree with you, but I need something concrete if I'm going to stay with this. If I'm going to follow this thread, if I'm going to go with this and you're going to organize, we need to have something more here. We need to really formally organize. And if you're going to be the leader of this movement, we need to have something here. If you're not going to produce it, I'm not going. I'm not jumping ship with nothing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Billy saw that this guy was completely not dependable and just a complete waste of time. So he's like, I'll stick with doing what I'm doing. I'd rather go by myself, do my own gigs, and just be more independent. And kudos to him.
Yeah, like ask John, what's the union that you were going to jump with? What's it called?
Yeah, exactly.
Conversation that he had laid on a lot of different people.
Right.
And people would call me and go, did you get the call from John?
Independently. Independently. That's not how you do it. You do not go one by one. You get everybody in a room and you lay the fucking shit out. It's one thing if you also sending out feelers. Yeah, I get it. You want to get the idea that would you be on board? Like, would you, if this happened, would you, and you get that, and then you arrange a meeting. That makes perfect sense to me, but that's not the way it's being explained.
I'm waiting for it. I said, oh boy, he's likening all of this to Nazi Germany and the Blitzkrieg, and I said, well, I'll handle it when I get it.
Right.
You can liken anything to what you want unless you're organized and you have nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to even say. And I'll even go in further. If he has nothing, he organized nothing. So, for example, say if there was something you're upset with, even in a union, and you're not happy with the management of how it's going, you can even look to other unions and how they're doing things, and you think they're doing it better. You can threaten your union and say, I looked at the auto workers union, or I looked at them, and you call their management and you say, I talked to so-and-so and the president of so-and-so, and I really like the way they're doing it. And I talked to them today. And how do you like that? And threaten them with that shit and see and have a meeting with them because you don't like the way you're doing it. And guess what? When a vote comes up, maybe you're not going to be the one who's going to have it. I'm going to invite more people to do that. But if you don't have anything, to jump onto, what is Billy supposed to do? You're not giving me anything.
All right, so you know what?
I get it.
Let's leave it like this, guys. It's not clear who's normal here.
Yeah, because I don't know what Billy's talking about now.
Yeah, I know. Who knows?
Because you're two fucking idiots. You're 79 and 80. Collectively, you don't break 200 in any IQ collectively in that room, except for Billy, who went on to do such fucking great stuff, and was way happier leaving that fucking nest of vipers.
How much did Robin have to pay back for the Air Force?
I wonder. Yeah. Well, you just read her book, guys. It's worth it if you get the Maylocks out.
Billy was a backstabber. But my point I was making to Gary is I just thought Billy, he gave him a great opportunity. And, money is money, but sometimes you owe somebody some.
Yeah, let's listen to the fucking gas station / parking lot attendant, whatever it is, and let's take his advice. The bridge and tunnel fucking bisexual pustos.
Yeah, let's listen to a tick that you get every couple of seasons when you walk outside by accident that gives you lupus. Fuck you.
There
you go. All right, well.
And then you got to think of what John said. He knew that they were going to ruin his strip and it was going to die.
John's a little...
Fuck you, Robin. Like you cared about anything on this show, any integrity bullshit. Fuck you. This is where I start to get ranting. I hate this so much. I fucking hate it.
If you knew something was going to die and you cared about it so much,
yeah,
wouldn't you fucking make sure everything about it would be great?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you just be a cackling drunk that just went on the air every, few months with a fucking porn star on OnlyFans? I don't know.
Little backstabbers, so don't listen to John. I'm talking about John, Stuttering John.
No, I'm talking about John here.
Not you, John.
John K.
Oh, I thought you meant Stuttering John.
No. Oh. John says that he knew that what Nickelodeon wanted to do was going to kill his
strip. But what if John K. was delusional? Maybe Nickelodeon wasn't going to really be all that rough. Maybe they were being reasonable. They just wanted to have a little creative control.
He's the artist, and he obviously knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, because it did get ruined.
Yeah.
It get ruined, fuck's sake. I mean, the other thing is certain shows have a life. They have a shelf life. Some lasted longer than others. By the end of, by the way, the Simpsons, for example, which we used as an example, not the same thing, but it is animation. People were saying it needed to, end way earlier than it did. So certain ones last longer than others. And Ren and Stimpy was always going to be very niche. It's not going to be something that's going to last 25 years and people are going to love it.
Well, Simpsons went woke, which is unfortunate. But in the case of Ren and Stimpy, the kids who grew up with it grew up. And the kids who were coming up didn't get it.
No, they didn't. Exactly. So it was caught between generations.
The 90s humor, it's so funny because I have my daughter who I introduced the 90s humor to. Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting to watch her reaction to just this unabashed, unforgiving, odd 90s humor, which she gets such a kick out of, but it's almost like...
Is it kitsch?
Very much so. Yeah. And she really loves it. Like we watched Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Ren and Stimpy, Hey Arnold. She loves Recess. That's a cartoon. All of it. She loves it all. But it's very... it's almost like slapping them in the face at first. Like they're just like, whoa.
What is this? Yeah.
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah, it's like a brick. It has the delivery of a brick through a plate glass window, and when it hits, and
something about
especially in
our
2020.
generation, something missed where it was
Mhm.
like there was this thing that happened and then it didn't carry over. So then I
No.
feel like Ren and Stimpy just didn't mesh with whatever was next.
It didn't, and I think so. In this case, woke. I mean, in my opinion, like when Bugs Bunny got censored in the late '80s, that was when woke really started. And we're talking censoring explosions, censoring like they'd cut away to when the coyote hit the fucking ground. You wouldn't see that little puff of smoke anymore. It was gone. Like what then? What the fuck? And then even earlier with the A-Team and stuff, and all the gun violence and stuff. I mean, yes, things change, but sometimes the change is so drastic that it seems almost like there was no subtlety about it whatsoever. So if you're talking about a progression, Ren and Stimpy didn't seem to follow. There wasn't any progression from them to anything else. It seemed like they went off a cliff and then it went to something else completely.
Yeah, and that kind of goes in line with just how I guess the ADD of how things are too.
Yeah.
But also censorship. When is anyone on the good team when they censor things? Like, has there ever been the good team for censorship? Ever?
Or a good excuse for it?
I never get this. Like when people are like misinformation, I'm like, fuck off. Like, give me as much misinformation as you want. Be smart enough to read to know when it's misinformation. You fucking idiots. I can't.
It's not funny anymore.
Right.
It keeps coming around like there was one person involved, me.
Yeah.
The point wasn't whether or not I had a job or not. It was that it was the first cartoon in years that was a real cartoon, a kind of cartoon that Billy and guys like me and Jim Smith, my partner, liked to watch ourselves.
Right.
We finally got the chance to work on them. And all of us had been frustrated creatively for
years.
Billy had been frustrated too. He had a hard time, like all of us.
Why would Billy have a hard time? He's a voice actor. He didn't have to create anything. Like literally, that's guys like that. They don't give a shit what they're being told. They're going in for the paycheck.
I don't think this argument sounds false to me, and it just doesn't seem cohesive.
Yeah.
Right.
And finally, here was this one solid thing where everybody, all the wackiest people, the craziest people in the business got together, finally proved to the world we can do something really great. And if this thing keeps going, we'll have 10 shows. And we'll be doing movies. We'll do this, that, and the other thing. And a few people sold out that whole concept, sold themselves out. They didn't just sell me out.
Oh, boy.
They sold themselves out. They ruined their own chance.
This sounds like a megalomaniacal asshole. Like bemoaning and bewailing that people didn't fucking see things the exact same way he did in his demented mind. Oh, and by the way, didn't start fucking 16-year-olds. Yep.
Well, so for example, Family Guy, which I was a really big fan of. They took Family Guy off the air when it was super popular and I couldn't believe it. And then it came back. It was so popular, I thought. And then they took it off the air.
What was the reason for taking off it in the first place?
I don't know, but it was so niche and popular and amazing and funny. But they got rid of Family Guy and everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. So maybe like, okay, he's saying like, nobody's seen what we're seeing. Let's rally together. And so I guess maybe there's this argument you stick together and you can work it out. But I feel like the people in Family Guy were really hardworking people who did stick together and did work it out. I don't feel like that's the situation for John K. Like, I feel like he was part of the reason for the tear down of the situation. He's part of the problem.
Oh, yes, I believe so. And if it was a situation where he was so creatively necessary for the success of it, but then unreliable, that's a hit you have to take. You get rid of him because you need someone who's responsible. But then if it doesn't always work. You can't sometimes you can't replace Shelley Long in a show and get more success. You can't replace like fucking Suzanne Summers and get more, maintain popularity. That's an unfortunate part of the business.
Well, also too, if you're very talented and you have a great product like Family Guy, they all stuck together and they got back on and they stayed on forever.
Mhm.
You know,
and
So-
long running shows, by the way, don't stay that way unless there's a certain amount of harmony within the production.
exactly, they're all the same people. So
Yeah.
I think John Kay too, if he really wanted to stay on, he would have brought the harmony for people to unionize and stay together and drive this creative product. And he would have had a direction that said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to keep doing. This is where I see the vision going. He
Yes,
didn't
exactly.
have a clear vision for this.
No, probably not. He was probably like, frame by frame, just making it up, like the
Look
same
at the
way.
delivery now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking quality control, like David Chase, people saying David Chase had a whole vision for the fucking Sopranos. I don't believe it. I don't believe he thought it was going to go past 2 or 3 seasons. And I don't think he had written all the way up to, he clearly did not have it all written. And then the last 2 seasons were just meandering bullshit for the most part. And it shows, like, in my opinion, it jumped the shark pretty early on. And that was only because he didn't have it all mapped out. A really great writer would have fucking reams of seasons well in advance, but that doesn't happen all the time.
I love The Sopranos, though.
But people, by the time they were invested, they were not going to not watch the last few seasons. But no one's going to tell me that 6 Feet Under, for example, which was seamless from beginning to end, with a little bit of a lull in the third season, is worse than The Sopranos. The Sopranos there's no comparison, but the performances on The Sopranos were so good. That's what people kept tuning into. James Gandolfini especially. I think
David Chase didn't map out the character arcs as well as he did. He knew the psychology behind like what those characters were and what it was like to be an Italian Sicilian American for sure.
For the future of creative cartoons.
Wow.
They set back the whole industry like 10 years.
Wow.
Now we got to build it up again from scratch. We have to take all the same risks again that we took for years so that we can hire the next generation of Billy Wests and give them an opportunity.
Fuck you.
Well,
Billy knows it's full of
Suddenly I
shit.
went from being really powerful to the guy who set the industry back 10 years.
I know.
Well, it wasn't
In one-
It wasn't one guy.
Well, all right. Listen, this is all. Listen. What? Yes. I didn't know cartoons were this important.
talking about
I didn't
cartoons?
either. Yeah, we're
But
adults.
come on. But John is very passionate.
Now, this is the funny part here, because John Kay, like, it sounds all wonderful, it sounds great, but it actually doesn't, because again, he doesn't have any conviction in his voice. He sounds like he's meandering. He sounds like, I had this whole grand plan, whatever. If the industry was going to go a certain way, it was going a certain way regardless of what you thought you could do. And if you had the money and the clout to make your own stuff independently, like Zappa released music, he recorded it himself. He had a deal with Ryko to release CDs and have like production, because he couldn't actually manufacture stuff himself. But distribution was an issue. But ultimately, if you have the guts, you put your money behind it and you say, fuck it, I'm funding this. This is going to be self-sufficient. And I have that much integrity. I'm so invested in it. You weren't, dickhead. You sold it.
Exactly. This is why you see this kind of in podcasting now, for example. People who were like, no, we're not going to be silenced. We're going to do our own thing. And look at these people who are now, they have whole platforms and money-making industries based on their drive and leadership because they believe in their thing. Does this sound like somebody that can lead anything? Or does this sound like a meandering asshole who's just scraping shit together?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of an example, more like a reasonable analogy in the movies. And I guess the only one, unfortunately, I can come up with is, for example, Kevin Smith. When he made Mallrats after doing Clerks, and basically they hired some people that I don't think he would have hired if he had his way, if he really had fully control of it. And then when he had to do Chasing Amy, and Mallrats was shit, but Chasing Amy, which was a really good film, probably his best film anyway, I think Harvey Weinstein went up to him and said, look, you can have so-and-so in the film and we'll give you $750,000 to produce it. Or you can choose the actors you want and we'll give you $75,000. And he's like, give me the $75,000. I want to hire who I want to hire. And we'll do this like guerrilla style 16 millimeter. And the results worked.
Yeah.
Some people do have integrity. Some people do think, no, I got to take this back because it just was not. I was not well served by, Paramount or whoever decided to take control of it. For fuck's sake. So there are people out there with that kind of integrity who will take the gamble. Wig never would. That's the whole point. Like John Kay, I don't know. I guess I don't know what his finances were. I guess there's a few things that are still very much in question.
Passionate about his craft.
Yeah, Jackie, just like you are about those stupid jokes.
But my feeling comes from, I remember at Channel 9 when Billy got the job, and I was working with him a lot. He was really, really excited to have that job. It was, to him, it was exactly what John described. It was like a dream come true. It was doing this wild, creative thing.
Right, but Billy was hired because he was talented, not because he was getting some handout.
Yeah, no. But it was
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Like this is the guy defending John Kay.
Mm-hmm. And this, like, he's a backstabber. He's this. He's that. All of a sudden, Billy's talented. Oh, anybody could do that voice. He's full of shit. Like the whole time.
It's Ralph.
Yeah. And I can't help but look at that fucking poster with this mirror image. This is supposed to be like the bookends of like the cover of the Howard's book, and it looks so fucking airbrushed. It's hysterical.
Fillmore's got sunglasses on in studio. He might as well be Artie.
And that square face. You're talking about Ralph. I'm looking at the poster.
I know, but I'm saying, like, look at you fucking defending John Kay in your fucking sunglasses. You fucking piece of shit. You probably came in fucking geeked up in the studio, goddamn dressing him like what?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody else was hiring Billy to do a wacky, wild cartoon.
There were tons of talented people that could not get work doing what they were good at.
Right. Well, there you go. Well.
No, I always thank John for the opportunity.
Right.
I did. And I used to
on
tell
Conan O'Brien
people
and
how
Jay Leno.
I can't go on other shows and talk about how brilliant you are. I told you face to face. I told you on the phone. I said, you're brilliant. I think you're a genius. You're a firebrand. You were a wake-up call to the industry. You know, what more do you want from me except a good job when I worked for you? That's all I would owe any employer.
Right.
And I would give any employer a great job, more than a...
So good. So look at Billy telling him the fucking truth. Wow. Any other person in that studio would have just bent over, but not Billy.
And he gave him and Howard the same respect.
Yeah.
That's
more
awesome.
than he deserved, probably. I mean, he could have fucking just laid waste to him and said, look, this guy was a tyrant. He was an idiot. He was fucking all this. But no, he took the high road. I respect Billy for that, actually. I don't know that I could have.
I respect him entirely. And you know what? The worst thing for celebrities and for people with that capital who had that power over people, and this is going into, well, fuck the Me Too movement, but like anything about having power over people is that social media or these podcasting platforms or anything creatively that you can get your creative thing onto anything gives you the ability to circumvent this sort of bullshit.
Yep.
So you don't have to deal with this shit. And so that's a great way to circumvent these type of people. And they don't like that. They don't like that at one bit. They don't like that. You don't have to meet with the man. You don't have to deal with these people. They don't like that. That's why Howard is always like, I had to get ratings.
Right.
I had to do callbacks and I had to do weather and time and
right. And how did you get ratings, Howard, with the cast of people that were on the show? And we've seen what happened 20, 30 years later. Yeah, you're older, fine. But you remove all those people and what are you left with? And this is, that's why you're getting the shit contracts you're getting.
So good for Billy for being such a gentleman about it.
100%.
Right.
But he couldn't say anything nice about John on a place where somebody could hear it.
Okay.
Yeah, Robin, you went on the Jay Leno show and said, "I'd love to be your sidekick." That's how you complimented your boss. Fucking cunt.
You might as well be wearing the Laura Ashley dress because that's exactly what you fucking did, job climber.
The agenda wasn't to sit there and talk about John, I guess.
Could have said a nice thing.
All right, okay. Listen.
How did you...
What kind of narcissistic asshole employer goes, you didn't go on the show and thank me? This is like, you're trying to talk yourself up. Your whole mandate on there is to talk about yourself, not other people. When you go on these shows, what you're doing. If you want to, it's fine. Whatever you say, John K is great, whatever. But clearly, if Billy didn't mention it, it was because he probably thought he's a fucking asshole. Read between the lines.
Yeah, the silence is deafening.
It is.
Come up with the voice for Ren and Stimpy. That was the question.
That wasn't the question. I said the voices.
Well, I was always supposed to
them.
be Ren.
Right.
I was always supposed to be Ren.
Well, in the very beginning, yeah. Well, that's the call I got.
I decided to put myself out of work right from the beginning.
You brought me over to Nickelodeon and said, I want you to do these two voices. You're a quick study. You can do it. You can do it. And you dragged me in a closet at Nickelodeon and here, listen to this and read the script. Read it again. We got to talk to these women over here. And, you know. And,
Well, that part would have been nice in the conversation. Somebody dragged you over there to do that.
Yeah, but I think it would have been all over the place. It would have been a little incongruous, you know.
John K., you're Fredo. He has no integrity. I think Billy can see this, that he doesn't have integrity in his talent. He doesn't have integrity to lead his crew of people. He doesn't have integrity to lead the show. And he saw that. And he's trying to say that in the nicest way he possibly can.
But not only that, he's actually, this is the funny part, by him saying, you didn't mention me, he's actually explaining that your ability and your clout exceeds mine or exceeded mine. Because maybe John K. couldn't get on Conan. Maybe I'm mistaken. You guys tell me in the comments if he appeared on the show. But I doubt it because voice talent would always trump the writer. The writer's not getting on.
Or
the actor
circulated.
Or it's very possible. It could easily. And that fucking industry is so small. The circle of people is so much smaller than people believe. And I'm not talking about like, you know, the field of, you know, character actors and shit like that and extras. Obviously that's massive. But I'm talking about creative and people, the people who can make shit happen, who can expedite films and TV shows, the producers and executive producers and all the fucking directors and stuff. That's a real small circle. And when stuff gets circulated in there, and if you get your name bandied about as someone who's a fucking troublemaker, you're not going to be employable. You just won't. Chris Farley, by the end, couldn't get insured before he, you know, finally passed away. And that was the worry. And same with Belushi. He was uninsurable near the end. So bad behavior can only take you so far. Like they'll only accept so much of it before all of a sudden, look at the Pauly Shore story we said in part one.
That was brilliant. I was so loving that.
It could have been tolerated if his films were making more money, but even then there would have been a cutoff point because people just get fed the fuck up with it. They just don't want to deal with people like that.
Right. Who created Ren and Stimpy? Oh, gee, I don't know. I mixed in a little bit of Burl Ives and Kirk Douglas and Peter Lorre.
All right.
It would have been incongruous to say.
I had to perform the characters, and I described what they were.
I love arguments.
You're a bad boy, Billy. Come on. Just admit it.
You know what? This does sound like one of those Nuremberg trials.
Spank him. Spank him, Howard.
All right. All right. Listen, you two obviously... are you now friends? Is it out in the open, or it's over? All right.
At least we all know where we stand.
This is like the Nuremberg trials. This example is being given just for the affect. So it's just to place Billy in a position. So when you say Nuremberg and you say Nazi and you say this, you have just no way to skate around this because it's just so scathing of a remark.
It's so extreme, yeah.
I know it's getting.
We couldn't get any thicker in here.
Where's Billy's wife in all of this?
This is all one-sided.
Fuck you. Where's Allison? I'm sorry. Is she giving CPR to Deborah?
Just coming back from the jingle ball after a bad hit.
I'm sorry. Did she need some water?
Yeah.
From the ecstasy that she needed from your lack of care? Is Beth over there snorting some coke?
Incredible.
Fuck off.
Yep.
Comes from Billy.
Predetermined.
All right. Listen, you guys. I want to congratulate John K. on his new cartoon. I think that there's some new excitement in the industry.
I guess the industry is moving ahead. Forget the Billy fiasco.
Look for comic book. This is the characters. You can see them here. One of them's a hot chick with big cans and nice legs. Who drew that? You?
She's underage, too.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Doesn't that just add the level of creep, like an extra layer of frosting on the creep cake?
Just like how he was couldn't wait till the Olsen twins.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh,
Jesus.
so nice. So good. Who's giving him a pass? Sonny Hosta in The View? You guys want to have him on anytime soon?
Yeah, exactly.
All of you? Whoopi?
Hey now. Could Billy work on that one? If you get it into... Come on, let bygones be bygones. Billy, you could do a voice for this chick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sexy little voice.
I couldn't get through his agent. You'll gouge me.
Oh. Well, anyway, listen.
I now see where that reference is.
Yeah, I got it. Now I got it.
All right.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Jesus H.
All right, and I want to thank the beautiful Leslie, who is John's assistant, who stands by him no matter what.
Stand by your boss.
That's right, stand by your boss. And John, obviously...
Yes, yeah, stand by your boss unless she gets another job. Unless she gets another job on the spot. And then, not a chance.
You're a brilliant animator and a brilliant man. I'm not afraid to say it. And Billy isn't either.
You'll give him credit, won't you, Howard?
I'll give you credit. I'm going to go on Letterman and talk about you. What do you think of that? I would like a little of this voiceover work myself, and I won't gouge you.
Thanks, Howard.
What a fucking cocksucker. He couldn't get a voiceover gig if he paid people to get hired. Wake's so shit.
They'd be paying to get rid of him.
Did you ever hear that voiceover work he did for the Blue Oyster Cult album?
No.
Oh, God. If I play it for you, I'll play it for you guys maybe right after this.
Look at me. Ooh, wee. How's that? Not bad, right?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I can do that crap.
You can do it cheaper than...
it's not hard. Yeah, I can draw better than Koreans, too. All right.
Oh, my God. That's so much funnier when we start talking about his art in 2020. It's funny to hear him say this back then. It's shit now. It's shit way shittier back then.
He traces.
We're going to take a break. John K., thank you for being our guest today. Billy, welcome to your nightmare. And this is like a what is that show where they bring out people from their live?
You should know. You should know.
You did a shitty one on the Channel 9 show.
Mr. Chestnut, welcome and goodbye.
If you're still alive and you still got your marbles, Mr. Chestnut, let us know. We'd love to interview you.
Yeah, this was like This Is Your Life.
I don't think it ever ended like this, though.
John, tell me something. The cartoon The Critic, awful? Yes. True? Be honest.
The worst.
The worst.
Just answer it for him.
Yeah.
Cartoon.
What's the other one?
What's the new one out I saw?
What's the other cartoon? The Critic?
Not The Critic, but the other one.
The one with the psychiatrist?
Yes.
I don't know what it's called.
Bad? All these cartoons? You don't see anything all that creative coming out, do you?
Well, Beavis and Butthead's great.
Yeah, I like them too. That's the only one. That's the only one. Well,
I'm actually amazed he gave them any kind of props because guys like this, they just think everything else is shit unless they're involved. And Wake's no different.
I liked South Park. I liked Family Guy.
Go.
Thank goodness Billy didn't work on that one.
It would have been over with.
Yep.
Ooh, and props to one of our fans, Futurama, which Billy was involved with.
Mm-hmm.
He was a voice of somebody, a character in Futurama, and in one of the cartoons, they said something about Stern, and the character said, Stern's overrated.
I wonder if they wanted to throw that in or he threw that in. I doubt it. Most voiceover people, they just read what's on the page.
I totally think Billy had something to do with that.
Oh, maybe he did. Let's believe it. We'll choose to believe it.
All right, John, Leslie, thank you so much, and we'll be back after these words.
So you think everything's patched up between you and Billy now? It didn't look like it. It didn't look like it?
It'd be nice, but
You think you're going to call him or something after this? Or?
Just a little apology is all I need.
Is that what you were hoping for?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, at least not.
Here, with the intentions of?
No. I wasn't sure whether Billy was going to be on it or not. I was kind of hoping to be a little happier.
Yeah. Expect a hug or something from him?
But that's the Howard show, sorry, yes.
Just a little apology. That's all he wanted. And what would happen if he gave you the apology? This is my thread. What would happen if he gave you the apology? It would continue the same way.
Yeah,
it would
nothing would change.
never be enough.
Nope.
Don't ever give the apology.
I mean, would you ever attempt to call him and maybe try to patch things up?
Well, I actually think that's on his side now.
So the
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. There's nothing you can do about it, buddy.
Okay. All right, John. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
And hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Okay, I don't think we need to go through more of that. Okay, hold on. 5.
I'd like to go through more of that gay looking fucking
top hat. That's funny as shit. It looks like the top of a gay wedding cake.
Well, just real quick, I was also calling because I just wanted to say my tour starts on the 17th of June.
Thanks, Eric. All right, buddy.
Eric, what? I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I said the tour that I'm
Take care, man. Don't ever call back.